I wanted to get your thoughts also on the Queen, because you wrote about this in the Telegraph in the UK. I thought a fascinating piece where you said it was the strength of her position as the monarch that's really held the Commonwealth together in recent decades. People forget what a disparate group of countries the Commonwealth is. All these nations, large and small, from Asia, Oceania, Africa, and she's managed to keep them voluntarily in this club, you say largely by dint of her own efforts.
Yeah, by dint of her own personality. You can imagine many of the Commonwealth countries came out of being in the British Empire. Well, and of the others, they weren't necessarily part of the British Empire, but of other empires. But they have newly won their independence. She, of course, was supportive of their independence and the independence movements. That was very important. And even though many of the leaders of those independence movements were political extremists of one kind or another, she didn't get herself involved in that sort of politics. She just worked with them and built personal relationships with them, respecting the fact that different countries chose different kinds of leaders. And there you have it. I mean, even in relation to Australia, every Prime Minister we've had, and some of them have been fiercely Republican, like Paul Keating and Malcolm Turnbull. Nevertheless, she won those people, if not over to the monarchy, but she won those people over personally. And that is a characteristic of the way she operated. So the heads of government from around the world were happy to come together every couple of years in what are called Commonwealth Heads of Governments meetings, and partly just to meet the Queen. And she had that huge convening power. So yes, I don't think the Commonwealth would have survived through the 60s and the 70s if it hadn't been for the Queen herself.
Well, does King Charles III understand that legacy? You think that'll be a focus of his? He obviously took over responsibility for the Commonwealth about 10 years ago, didn't he, from the Queen?
He more or less has, and the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting a little while ago unanimously agreed that he should succeed her as the head of the Commonwealth. That wasn't an automatic position for him, but there was unanimous support for him becoming the head of the Commonwealth. And yes, he's been very engaged with the Commonwealth. I know from having been the High Commissioner here here in London, how many Commonwealth events he used to attend of one kind or another, and usually with Camilla, or the Queen Consort, as we're getting used to calling her now. So, yeah, I think he'll share that same dedication for the Commonwealth.
Well, thanks so much, Alexander Downer, for all that. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, Chris.